Narendra Modi calls for reforming global multilateralism to enhance its relevance in post-COVID-19 scenario. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh reviews overall security scenario in Jammu and Kashmir with top military brass in Srinagar. No let-up in ongoing flood situation in Assam, massive damage caused to roads, embankments, bridges and agricultural land. Over 1,200 Corona COVID cases detected in Assam. State government announces guidelines for Unlock 1. And eastern parts of Mizoram suffered 3 moderate tremors, cracks reported in some buildings and houses. Good evening viewers and welcome to the Northeast News Bulletin. This is Saraswati Singha and now the news with the details. In national news first, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has called for a reformed multilateralism with a reformed United Nations at its center. He said the reformed multilateralism in a post-COVID-19 world should reflect the realities of the contemporary world. Modi was delivering a virtual keynote address at the year's high-level segment of the United Nations Economic and Social Council ECOSOC session last night. He said India contributed to shaping the ECOSOC agenda, including the Sustainable Development Goals through its domestic efforts. India is also supporting other developing countries in meeting their Sustainable Development Goals. The COVID-19 pandemic has severely tested the resilience of all nations. Modi said that in India's fight against COVID-19, the grassroots health system is helping the country ensure one of the best recovery rates in the world.
Multilateralism needs to represent the reality of the contemporary world. Only reform multilateralism with a reformed United Nations as its center can meet the aspirations of humanity.
In more national news, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh today visited the holy cave of Amarnath Ji Shrine in Kashmir and offered prayers there. He was accompanied by General Bipin Rawat, Chief of Defence Staff, Army Chief General M.M. Narawane. The Defence Minister's trip to the holy cave in Kashmir comes on the second day of his visit to J&K. On Friday, Rajnath Singh reviewed the overall security scenario in Jammu and Kashmir with the top military brass in Srinagar, which was also attended by Jammu and Kashmir Lieutenant Governor Girish Chandra Murmu, Director General of Jammu and Kashmir Police, Dilbag Singh and other senior officers of the civil administration. He asked the armed forces to give a fitting reply to any misadventure by Pakistan.
शिव संकल्पमस्तु जल छोड़ते नीचे फिर गणेश जी का ध्यान फूल लेके हरि ओम गणानंत्वा गणपति.
Moving on to Northeast now, in Assam, the flood situation is yet to return to normal as nearly 35 lakh people have been affected due to floods in 25 districts. The government is carrying out rescue and relief measures. Official sources say 79 persons have lost their lives in the flood. 50,000 people are staying at relief camps. The flood waters caused massive damage to agricultural lands, roads, embankments, bridges, wildlife parks and sanctuaries. Various agencies have evacuated 76,000 people to safer places. Prominent persons including Dalai Lama and other organizations have expressed solidarity with people of Assam in this critical hour. In Assam, Health and Family Welfare Minister Dr. Himanta Biswa Sharma, in a tweet, has informed that 1,218 new COVID-19 positive cases have been detected in the state, of which 570 were from Guwahati city alone. Now, the total number of cases in the state is 21,864, with 51 deaths. In Arunachal Pradesh, there are 609 total confirmed cases, with 3 deaths reported. In Manipur, total confirmed cases is 1,800, with no death reported. In Meghalaya, total number cases is 416 with 2 deaths. In Mizoram, the number is 282 with no casualty. In Nagaland, the number is 956 with 0 casualty. In Sikkim, the number of confirmed cases is 266 with 0 casualty. And in Tripura, the number is 2,366 with 3 deaths reported. Meanwhile, Assam Chief Secretary Kumar Sanjay Krishna today announced the official guidelines for Unlock 1. He announced the lockdown relaxations in the city with certain conditions for 2 weeks with effect from the evening of July the 19th. However, night curfew from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. will remain in force. Inter-district movement will open only for 2 days. It will remain restricted from July 22nd, 2020. Movement of the private vehicles will remain restricted. Shops will remain on one side of the road on one day and another side on the other.
You know that in Kamrup Metro District, we declared lockdown on 28th of June, and at that time, the total number of positive cases in Assam was 7,492, and yesterday it is 21,864. And as per Ministry of Health projection, there will be about 64,389 positive cases by 15th of August in Assam. So we need to be very, very careful, and we have made that all persons must wear face mask all the time in any public place, and if somebody doesn't follow it, there will be a fine of 1,000 rupees on the spot. We have declared some relaxations looking into the economic activities, requirement of economic activities, and accordingly we have allowed all the shops and business establishments on from Monday to Friday. That will be one side of the road alternatively. Wholesalers of essential items, wholesalers of non-essential items, vegetables, fish market wholesalers, etc. are allowed Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Home delivery for vegetables, meat, fish allowed. Courier, e-commerce activities are allowed from Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. All industrial activities and construction activities are allowed within this Kamrup metro area. The only condition is that labor force has to stay within the campus. Our restaurants and other hospitality services are also allowed for takeaway and home delivery of cooked food. Pharmaceuticals, medical equipments, medicine wholesalers are allowed on both sides of the road all the time, and pharmacies are allowed on all days.
Health and Family Welfare Minister Dr. Himanta Biswa Sharma, on a visit to Jorhat, today reviewed the measures taken by the Jorhat District Health Department to contain the spread of coronavirus. Later, addressing a press meet, he informed that COVID-19 screening tests will be conducted in every ward of Jorhat. He also said the state as a whole will see a rapid rise of corona cases from the month of August.
চক মোৰ মইতো ক'ত কি কৰিছে নাজানো, কিন্তু এটা কথা মই নিশ্চয় আবেদন কৰিম যে বহুত লোকে কয় যে আমাৰ কোভিড হৈ গ'ল, এতিয়া আমি 7 দিন হোম কোৱাৰেণ্টাইনত থাকিম।
The total number of people who have recovered from coronavirus has crossed the 6.5 lakh mark today. The central government today said a total of 6,53,751 people affected with coronavirus have recovered in the country so far. The recovery rate has reached to 62.93%. In the past 24 hours, 17,994 people have recovered. Presently, the total number of active corona cases in the country is 3,58,692. The Health and Family Welfare Ministry said a total of 34,884 new cases of COVID-19 have been reported in the country within the last 24 hours, taking the total number of cases to 10,44,963. In a single day, 671 deaths have been reported, taking the nationwide toll to 26,347. In number of people recovered from COVID-19, Maharashtra is leading the tally with 1,63,359. Meanwhile, with a surge in COVID-19 cases in Bihar, West Bengal, Assam and Odisha, the Union Health Ministry has asked these states to make renewed efforts to contain transmission of the virus. The ministry emphasized that the restrictions should be utilized to focus on containment, surveillance and testing in containment and buffer zones as the key strategy for early detection of cases and fatality management. In a letter to Principal Secretaries, Health and Secretary, Health of these states, Joint Secretary in the Union Ministry of Health, Love Agarwal, asked them to ensure that at least 80% of the new cases have their close contacts traced and are in quarantine within 27 hours of case confirmation. The letter said states should also focus on ensuring availability of non-COVID services such as immunization, maternal and child health services, including other emergency and critical care services. Across the globe, confirmed coronavirus cases crossed 1,42,24,361 and resulted in 6,159 deaths so far, while 84,92,244 patients have recovered from the disease. In the United States, total cases have crossed the 37,71,101 mark with 1,42,080 deaths. In Brazil, the total number of cases is now 20,49,140 with 77,964 deaths. In Russia, the total number of cases is 7,65,437 with 12,247 deaths. In Mizoram, 3 moderate earthquakes have jolted eastern parts of the state on Friday. 2 tremors of magnitude 5.1 and 3.7 on Richter scale occurred at 10:03 p.m. Another earthquake of 4.2 magnitude of the Richter scale was recorded at 3:56 p.m. These tremors were felt at East Tuipai areas in Champai district. The National Center for Seismology recorded that the epicenters of the last 2 quakes were 30 kilometers south and 18 kilometers south of the Champai. The tremor felt at 3:56 p.m. occurred 33 kilometers southwest of Champai. Officials said there is no report of major damages, yet cracks were reported on the walls of some buildings and houses. In sports news, next year's Tokyo Olympics will follow an almost identical competition schedule as the one planned for this year before the event was postponed due to the novel coronavirus pandemic, organizers said on Friday. The International Olympic Committee (IOC) and Japanese government decided in March to postpone the games until 2021, and organizers have been working to rearrange an event almost a decade in the making. The new date for the opening ceremony at the newly built National Stadium, July 23, 2021, had already been announced, but the full schedule was pending final approval until Friday when the Tokyo 2020 Organizing Committee made a presentation to the IOC session in Lausanne. In the hockey match schedule, Indian hockey teams start off against Netherlands and New Zealand. The NF Railways have informed that during the last 6 years, 27,655 crore rupees of capital investment was made by Indian Railways in Northeast projects, which is 160% more than the capital investments of 10,610 crore rupees made during 2009-14. The major projects that were completed during the last 6 years include Bogeybill, Rail Cum, Broad Bridge and Broad Gauge Rail Network for 4 more states. To end the news, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi calls for reforming the global multilateralism to enhance its relevance in post-COVID-19 scenario. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh reviews overall security scenario in Jammu and Kashmir with top military brass in Srinagar. No let-up in ongoing flood situation in Assam. Massive damage caused to roads, embankments, bridges and agricultural land. Over 1,200 Corona COVID cases detected in Assam. State government announces guidelines for Unlock 1. And eastern parts of Mizoram suffer 3 moderate tremors. Cracks reported in some buildings and houses. And that brings us to the end of this evening's bulletin. Thank you for tuning in. Namaskar.